subscribe.
Hi everybody and welcome. My name's Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. Today I'm going to talk to you about mutes, and they are these tiny little black things. I'll give you a close-up in a second, that you pop over the bridge of the violin and it sort of dampens the sound a little bit. So this is more of an FYI video really, for your information. If some of you might have heard, especially beginners out there and things, might have heard about mutes and things and sort of wondered what on earth are mutes, why would you use them and all that kind of thing. So I suppose as a violinist, one doesn't really use mutes a lot of the time. You probably don't use mutes more than you actually do use mutes. For me personally, I suppose I've only really ever used mutes when I've been playing in orchestras, and obviously the composer has asked the string section to use their mutes, because you get in strings as a section. So if you've got like 20 violins and they're all muted, it actually just does give a nice kind of timbre, a nice sort of effect for it. But other than that, in my solo violin playing, I don't really use it. So this is my little mute that I've got. This is also the Ultra practice mute as well. I have done a separate video on this, so I'm not going to go into this. This is more of a mute that actually takes away the sound. This is one of these mutes that actually give you a more of a dampened, muted sound, specifically to achieve a certain timbre. This one is actually to stop the sound. So perhaps you've got people downstairs or people in the next room if you're living in a flat, or people next door. So it's to actually stop the sound. You wouldn't actually, I don't think you would actually use this as part of an orchestra. If it said to use the mute in the part, you'd probably want something more like this. So how would you know if you were going to use a mute? Well, let's just say you were in an orchestral situation, or I suppose if you were playing a solo piece as well. But you might see the word consordino or consord or something of that variety, which is actually Italian for with mutes. It basically just dampens the vibrations, leaving a sort of a softer kind of sound. You can actually use a peg, you know, like a closed peg that you might hang your washing up with if you're absolutely desperate and you really need a mute and you actually haven't got one. I actually don't have any pegs, but I have actually seen them where you can actually, imagine my fingers were a closed peg, where you can actually just sort of clip it on the side of the violin. Obviously you can't put the peg topwards or from the top because it won't go in, but from the side of the bridge here, you just sort of clip it on. Anything that sort of dampens the bridge, or anything that stops the bridge sort of vibrating. So when the bow is hitting the strings are vibrating, the bridge is vibrating, all that kind of stuff, and blah blah blah, and that's where you get the sound from the violin. So if you use a peg to sort of clamp onto the side of the bridge there, it will sort of stop it vibrating. The peg is not ideal, but it's, I mean, if you are absolutely desperate and you're looking for something around the house that might do that, you can use a peg, but it's not going to be as effective as using a mute. So the mute that I use, this little one here, you can see there's sort of like a little lip, I guess, if you like, there, and the little holes that you've got, they're sort of little, you won't be able to see it on the camera, but they're sort of little, there's a little sort of it sort of moves. It's almost like there's a little break in between the holes, but that's fine, it's not broken, because what you would do is you'd pop it behind the bridge to start with, and we're going to be putting it between the D and the A strings. So if you just sort of slot it in sideways, twist it so the strings can go inside the little holes where it looks like it's sort of perhaps your mute is broken, but it's not, and it'll just sit there. I don't know how much of that you can actually sort of see really, but maybe from this side, if you can hear it just sort of popping out. So if you put it in sideways and then sort of twist it so that the strings go inside the holes where the little breakage bit is, and if you put it so that the little lip is facing the bridge, so that it can actually just pop over the bridge, so it sort of slots in like that. And then when you're not using it, you can actually just keep it sitting there like that. It won't do anything until it's actually sitting over the bridge. I don't normally keep mine on, just because I don't use it that often and I don't want it getting in the way, because sometimes it can sort of vibrate and just get really annoying. So and if it does pop off by mistake, I've lost it and I haven't got my mute, so I generally tend to just keep it in my violin case, then just go and grab it for if I need it, if I'm doing orchestra rehearsals or or anything like that. So it just pops on and it just goes over the bridge and it gives you sort of a muted sort of sound. There are other different types of mutes that you can get. I've just brought up some images on my laptop just because I don't have examples of them, but this is the one that I've got, which are these two here. This is the Ultra Practice mute, so that would be the one. I've done a separate video, I can perhaps link that. This is one of these metal ones. This is one of these wooden ones. I don't really like those. A lot of people don't really like those sorts of mutes because they kind of interfere and people are worried that they cause a little bit of damage. These ones cause a very sort of harsh dampening sound. I don't know, there's a few others there. Mainly these ones are the ones that I've got, and you can see where they just slide on. There's other various different ones. There's another metal one here again. But like I say, I'm not really too keen on sort of the metal ones. One of my subscribers, Vivian, who is obsessed with mutes, by the way, she's actually sent me this one. So this is actually a mute in like the shape of a mouse or something. In all honesty, I don't know if it's any good, but the novelty's there at least anyway. And you can get mutes with diamantes on them and I don't know, all that kind of thing. So she's obsessed with mutes for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but she is, and I thought I'd just mention her in this video. So those are all the different types of mutes that you can get. I'm sorry I don't have them actually to show you, but like I say, the metal ones, I wouldn't use a metal one on my violin, certainly not on my violin anyway, just because I don't like, sometimes the metals can, how can I say it, sort of cause a buzz almost, if you like. They can do. They almost kind of pinch too much on the bridge, and I don't really want anything doing that on my violin. The wooden peg type ones, which, going back to it, which are these ones here, I have had those before as well, but they give I really can't describe it. Just imagine a piece of plastic muted over the violin. It's just, I don't know, I really can't describe the sound of it. I don't know, but the ones I prefer the most are the ones that look like the little black wine gums. So the little black one I showed you, because it's rubber, it's easy to keep sitting behind the violin or just sitting between the bridge and the tailpiece as well, if you want to keep it in there. And I just find that's the best one. And to be honest with you, when I am playing in orchestras, almost everybody has the little round black ones. I will put a little link underneath the bar as to where you can get these mutes from if you're in the UK and if you're in the US and everything. Amazon usually generally tends to be the cheapest thing, but they're really only a couple of quid or a few dollars or something like that as far as I'm aware. But they're definitely worth having in your case, just as a staple, you know, just like you would have some rosin. So thanks very much for watching. I hope this has been really helpful, and I'll see you all next time.
Subscribe.